everybody, and welcome to the Contra Code. I'm Mike the Rat Guy, here with my friend Howard Beware.
Hey there.
And we are the retro video game podcast that you are getting to know and love. And, I guess we always start the show by asking what we've been up to. So what have you been up to this week, Howard?
Oh, I haven't been up with a whole lot. My son had an ear infection, so I've been dealing with that a little bit. Not too fun. You never like to see your kid in pain or upset or crying, and so I've been dealing with that a little bit, but, that's fine. It is what it is. Kids are sick all the time.
You've got two kids now, so would you say that this one has been worse or easier, this ear infection?
Honestly, my youngest son does not get sick nearly as often as my first son did. So that's I don't know why, but it just seems to be the case. Clark gets sick all the time. Cal not so much. So hopefully neither of them ever get sick again. That'd be wonderful.
That's likely. That's probably how it's going to go down.
Yeah. So, all right. Coming off last week's episode of Adventures of Monkey Island.
The secret of Monkey Island.
I call it the Adventures every time.
Was that on purpose this time?
It was.
Okay. Because I always remember that for you it was not an adventure. For you it was a trial and tribulation.
I know. I wish it was like a better kept secret than I would.
Well done.
I am well aware that I am in the minority of this opinion on The Secret of Monkey Island. And, like I said, I see why people like it for what it was. I just don't. But that brings us to a game I like very much, which is Grand Theft Auto, the original Grand Theft Auto. So
yeah, that's our game this episode, is Grand Theft Auto for the PlayStation 1. Although, actually, we had a little bit of technical difficulty getting a hold of Grand Theft Auto 1.
We did. I could not locate my copy for the PlayStation. So after frantically searching for it, I ended up having to download a free copy off the Rockstar website, which was fantastic. A, that I could get it right off the Rockstar website, and B, that they offer it for free. So that was cool. So instead of playing the PlayStation 1 version like you did, I played the PC version. Minor differences, I think, so it shouldn't be too different.
Yeah, luckily enough, I've never gone all the way through the PC version, but I've played it. I've actually sat down and fiddled around with it, and I've looked at all kinds of pictures and reviews, and as far as I can tell, there are very, very few differences. So for the most part, we played pretty much identical games.
Yeah. The one difference I noticed out of the gate is just there's no music when you jump in the car, so it's not like, unique music depending on the car you jump in, which I was pretty disappointed in, actually. But
yeah, I definitely want to hit you up about that topic, because that's a pretty big one. When we get to the sound section of the review, I definitely want to talk about that, because there's a lot to be said.
Sure.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I guess I'll say, I was about to say, well, how did you enjoy it? But I guess I'll save that.
Sure.
Let's, first of all, do you have any news for us?
Yeah, gaming news. There's a couple things out there. Are you familiar with Project Spark?
Oh, God, I want to say that sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it's like a game maker video game for Microsoft Windows and Xbox One, actually.
In that case, I don't think I am. Okay, Go on.
Okay, well, it was it's like a digital canvas that can be used to make games, movies, other things like that, and then a player can download other user-generated content and remix that content or create the content of their own.
Oh, okay.
The player can then use like the Xbox controller, a keyboard, mouse, touch devices, that kind of stuff. And then, basically it's a game that lets you make your own game. So I wanted you to bring you up to speed on that so that I could tell you that they are actually using that very technology to make another Contra game. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's out of nowhere. Another Contra game. Wow.
Yeah. Contra Spark. It's a digital canvas, or a Project Spark, digital canvas that can be used to create video games, movies, other types. We just went through that. So this is a Contra comes into play. It's developed by Project Spark creator Team Dakota with the Project Spark engine. An upcoming episodic series called Conker's Big Reunion will be set 10 years after Conker's Bad Fur Day. So if you're a big fan of the Conker series, you're in luck. We got another Conker's game coming out for you. And other gaming news I have. Are you familiar with the From Bedrooms to Billions movie?
No, this is the name of a movie?
Yeah, is it
a porno? Tell me it's a porno.
It is not. It came out in 2014, and it's a documentary by a British filmmaker. And it tells the story of British video game industry from 1979 to the present day. It focuses on how the creativity and vision of the relatively small number of individuals allowed in the UK to play a key in pioneering the shaping of a billion-dollar video game industry. So they are actually coming out with another. It's called From Bedrooms to Billions, the Amiga Years. So they're focusing on the Amiga, and there's going to be a documentary on that. So if you were an Amiga fan, a fan of the home computer, that sort of thing, this might be right up your alley if you're a big Commodore guy.
Video games are getting to the point where we're finally seeing a lot of documentaries and, relatively mainstream movies about them. I think that's interesting. Yeah,
well, it is. I think there's never been a bigger generation of gamers. And, at one point you were the geeky kid with no color to your skin that, hid inside of a room and played video games. And now pretty much everybody plays video games. So
and yet I still have no color to my skin. Alas.
Exactly.
No less a gamer, though. And yeah, you mentioned not too long ago, I think it was called Video Games, the movie, narrated by Sean Astin.
Right.
Yeah, I've actually got a copy of that, and I never wound up watching it. I kind of forgot that I even had it. So
yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Oh, you finished it? You watched the whole thing?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, cool, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing you don't know.
Sure.
But, it's fine. It was on Netflix. It was free. I watched it.
That's how it works?
Yeah.
Cool, good deal. All right. Well, on my end of the video game news, I know that you'd probably be really interested in this. I know I am. The Elder Scrolls Online officially went free to play about a week ago, I think.
Yeah, that's super cool, because I pre-ordered the PlayStation 4 version of that a year and a half ago now. And
good God.
I'm actually very excited that it'll be free to play once I actually get it. I believe it actually is. It does have a launch day. I think it's like June 6th or something like that. I forget the exact day, but they actually do have a launch day for it now. So that's nice.
I'm wondering if they're actually going to rebrand it and everything, because apparently now, I don't know if they've unrolled new, production art and everything else, but I think the game is now called Tamriel Reloaded. It's not even called Elder Scrolls Online anymore. My understanding is Tamriel Reloaded is now the official title of the game.
Tamriel Reloaded? That is stupid.
I'm sorry. What am I talking? Unlimited.
Okay. I was going to say Reloaded. It sounds like a bad,
Matrix.
Sounds like a Steven Seagal sequel to Tamriel.
What the fuck am I thinking? Like I said, I was just talking to somebody about The Matrix the other day and how much I hate the second movie, so maybe I can... I'm going to blame that, because I want to blame it.
Right. Yeah, the second Matrix movie is the cause of a lot of despair on this planet, so we can just chalk it up to that.
There you go.
All right.
That's what we're riding on, yeah. Fair enough. That's pretty much all I've got for gaming news. I beta tested Elder Scrolls Online about, oh my God, when would it have been? You're right, it probably would have been about at least 8 months ago.
Oh, more than that, man. More than that.
Yeah.
You beta tested it before it was even scheduled to go out and launch, and I literally, I was supposed to have a physical copy in my hand last June. So.
God.
Yeah.
Has it really been that last June you were supposed to?
It's really been that long, yeah. I planned on playing it all summer.
Oh, you did? That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I was pushed back to Christmas, and I was like, oh, that sucks. Oh, at least I'll be able to play it on Christmas break. And then, nope. I work in education, by the way, so I get fun things like summers off and Christmas break off. And I'm on spring break as we speak. This has been wonderful. So...
You're on spring break. Are you getting totally drunk off your ass?
I ran out my front door holding a 6-pack, wearing a Speedo, and I yelled spring break. And there was 2 inches of snow on the fucking ground. So.
Oh, well then you can't run around yelling woo and falling down.
Kind of lost its luster compared to those wonderful movies from the 80s, but.
They forget that in Wisconsin it snows in the spring.
This is true.
Yeah, sometimes it snows all the way up until April or May. I've seen that before.
Yeah, it can snow whenever here. It's crazy.
Nature has no dictator there in Wisconsin. It does whatever it wants.
Absolutely.
Well, so then what have you been doing over these spring break weeks?
Oh, well, like I said, my son has an ear infection, it's clearing up. He's on antibiotics now, so it's been getting better. So we'll probably get out of the house tomorrow and do some stuff. But we've been watching a lot of Netflix, that kind of thing.
Seen anything good?
Yeah, I watched an awesome movie called The Journey into the West, or Journey to the West.
Okay.
It's a fantastic, satirical kung fu movie based on the guy who made Kung Fu Hustle made it. It was pretty awesome, actually. I highly recommend it to anybody who likes kung fu or likes comedy or likes both. You gotta read some subtitles, but a small price to pay to see such an awesome movie. So.
Would you say that it's a movie to where you have trouble reading the subtitles through the tears of laughter that are erupting from your face?
Yeah, kind of. It was just really well done. It was satirical. It was very well timed. I don't know. It was almost just, you gotta see it. I don't know. And I recommend just watching it. Don't look at anything. Don't look at any trailers. Don't do it. Just go watch the movie. It's on Netflix right now. And if you have Netflix, go check it out. Great fucking movie.
Nice.
And I also just watched the RoboCop reboot they did.
How was that?
It was okay.
That's what I've heard. That's what everyone says.
It's no fucking RoboCop. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, few movies are.
Yeah,
of course.
it doesn't no justice. However, if I want to treat it as its own standalone movie, it was watchable. Yeah.
The critics, I remember saying, I mean, because I'm a huge fan of the original, it was one of the first movies I mentioned. Yeah, I think I actually, now that I think about it, that was like one of my, I mentioned that for the first episode we did. It was like, dude, RoboCop, that's like my movie from 1987.
I'm staring at a RoboCop action figure as we speak.
There you go. I remember you had that. Yeah, I haven't had a RoboCop figure since they had the little, like, tiny ones with the little flick, like the flint trigger thing in the back of his back that shot off caps. I don't know if you ever had that.
Yeah, I did not have it, but those were awesome.
Yeah, they were gimmicky but neat. Yeah, that's how much into RoboCop I was as a kid. And so when the new one came out, I remember hearing a lot of people say, basically, look, it's like it wants to do the movie right, but it completely misses the point. Whatever that means, that's okay.
It did. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was fine. If it was just its own other movie, I guess, I don't know. No one probably ever would have heard a thing about it. It got marketed because it was RoboCop.
Exactly.
I don't know. It was okay. It was an okay
That's a
movie.
bummer.
I would give it 2.5, 3 out of 5 stars, maybe.
I see.
3's a little generous. 2.5 stars. It's not terrible. It's watchable.
So as a huge RoboCop fan, as I am, do you think it's even worth my time to watch it? Just not even as a curiosity?
Nah, that's something you got to decide.
Sure.
I would never say, as a RoboCop fan, you should check it out.
I gotcha. Bummer. I hate when they do that. I mean, there's people who, and I understand this logic, there are people who say, look, just because a bad remake, sequel, whatever, exists does not mean the original does not exist, so therefore it's not tainted. I say, no, the originals are good because they have a legacy, because they stand on their own. And so when another movie or sequel, whatever, comes out, Clerks 2, we've talked about Clerks 2.
Sure.
I think it was relatively good. I think that it was a fair follow-up, but it was like so precariously, it had a fucking musical number and shit. It's like, okay, stop. All right, stop. Don't do any more damage. Let Clerks lie. It's a great movie. Sequel didn't really need to be made, but now that you've made it, good. Stay away. Don't ever make a third one. So, I mean, that kind of translates to stuff like RoboCop. It's like the first one was so good. Why mess with it? Why even remake it in the first place? You know?
Much to the chagrin of Mike the Rat Guy, Clerks 3 is being made. And Mallrats 2 is being made. So there you go.
And you say it's so chipper. So there you go.
I love Kevin Smith. So.
I used to.
I'm very forgiving to a lot of his bad stuff. I don't know.
It's not even that he's made a lot of movies that I consider to be bad. It's just that he kind of gets on my nerves lately. I don't know.
I love the guy. I think he's very down to earth, very approachable person. And when it comes to, he just dishes out tons of free content to his fans. He's very reachable via social media, that kind of stuff. So I dig the guy. I like the way he goes about his life. So
he calls movies flicks. Fuck him.
Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of flicks and speaking of recent movies, I myself caught up with Foxcatcher and Argo over there.
I've seen Argo. I have not seen Foxcatcher.
Foxcatcher, for those who don't know, it's the true story of John DuPont and his recruitment of a wrestler. I'm not going to say anything, really beyond the fact that there's murder involved. It's a really interesting story. Movie was very well done. The acting was across the board phenomenal. Steve Carell just completely dissolves into an entirely different person. It was great. The movie was slow. There wasn't a lot of crime element in it, so if you're impatient, you might not dig it, but I think it's worth watching. It's a psychological drama and very good. Argo, I was surprised. I loved it from start to finish. It gripped me and didn't let go. I thought it was a great movie.
Fantastic movie.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, basically the story of that, again, it's a true story. It's some American citizens trapped in Iran, and we needed to get them out. And they figured out that if we came up with the idea of going to Iran to film a fake movie, we can maybe go there, collect these people under the auspice of being a film crew, and get out and get back to America. And that's what the movie's all about.
Right.
Yeah, I dug it.
And I dig the fact that they actually found a non-violent way to solve that situation.
Yeah.
Nobody would take the trouble to do that these fucking days. Uh,
Uh-oh, politics, red flag.
There we go. Let's move on. So.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Argo, great fucking movie. If you've not seen Argo, it's a good time. So check it
Definitely.
out.
That's the one movie I think that we've talked about in this episode that we both seen and agree was very good. So that would get my recommendation.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about Grand Theft Auto. Year it was released?
1998.
1998.
Yeah, technically I believe it came out at the very tail end of 97 for the PC, but I mean it was pretty much, I'd say 6 months later it was on the PS1. Yeah.
We'll call it 98. What was happening in 1998?
What was happening in 1998? I'm not sure. There was actually a lot of stuff going on. How about you fill me in, because I'm out of the loop.
Let's see. Well, Will Smith was getting jiggy with it.
Oh, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's fucked up, huh? What the fuck is getting jiggy with it? I still don't know to this day. I don't really care. I do remember one time, though, quite funny, 1998. I remember waking up really hungover on the couch. I must have.
You had a late night of jigginess.
I had apparently. I could have. I couldn't tell you. Anyways, I wake up and the TV's on and the Ricky Lake show was on. So.
Oh, everybody remember that? Wow.
Yeah, the Ricky Lake. If you don't know what Ricky Lake is, insert any bad daytime talk show aside from like Jerry Springer. It's basically just any I don't know what it's today. Who's that? Queen Latifah have a show today?
Does she? Are you serious?
I think she has a show today. Okay, it's Queen Latifah only. Remove Queen Latifah. It's Ricky Lake. Okay. Anyways, the theme of this show was which guy is the jiggiest. And I don't listen. Okay, I listen to a lot of music. I love music. I adore music. I don't listen to the fucking radio. I don't find good music on the radio, and so I just don't. If I have the radio on, I'm listening to talk radio. So I, at this point, have never heard Will Smith's getting jiggy with it. I had no clue what the fuck they were talking about. I wake up out of this, this hungover stupor from the night before to hear Ricky Lake's talk show fucking theme is which guy is the jiggiest. And it was this contest, and all these guys went up on the stage, and they were all trying to be, quote-unquote, the jiggiest. And I was just, confounded. I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about.
How did the guys exert their jigginess?
I don't know.
You don't remember each of that part out?
They kind of paraded back and forth and chicks snapped, and I still don't know what being jiggy is. I have since heard the song, but
and to be perfectly fair to Fair, I have to admit I don't even think it's that bad. It's a bad song.
Oh, it's a terrible song.
It's a terrible song, but I don't mind listening to it. I actually find it kind of fun. But yeah, that whole thing that happened. Yeah. Good God.
So yeah. All right, 1998. Apple Computers unveiled the iMac. So.
Was that around the time they did the Jeff Goldblum commercials, or did that come later? Do you remember that?
I don't know. I don't know when they did the Jeff Goldblum commercials. What were those?
I think those were when they had colored iMac monitors, and they had Jeff Goldblum basically say, I'm Jeff Goldblum, and these are colored monitors. Buy one.
Oh, well, when they had that casing, plastic. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like an iridescent,
yes.
You could pick different colors, cases. They had a bluish gem colored and a reddish gem color you could choose from.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. For the record, I love Jeff Goldblum, but I had no idea what he was doing there. But he sold, maybe because he's Ian Malcolm and everyone knows that he's a smart character.
Sure.
And hey, you sell computers. I couldn't even guess.
Yep. And at the same time, Intel launched the Pentium 2 chip. 333 megahertz.
Oh, wow. Blazing fast 333 megahertz.
At the time, that was blazing fast.
It was. And they even had, and ironically, they had a stoner to tout how you were getting an Intel. Or unless I'm thinking, was it Intel? No, he was the Dell guy. Do you remember that? They had a stoner who was like, dude, you're getting a Dell.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible. I hated the fucking Dell guy, man. God.
I think he ended up going to jail for punching a prostitute or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Hopefully.
It's probably libelous. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that it's true, but I think I heard something to that effect. Yeah, so computers, but either way, computers, they were kind of getting into a new kind of trendy sort of thing in the late 90s. They're becoming like the thing to get.
Yep. Bill Clinton was impeached for perjury.
That he was. That I remember.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
You know, I think that I would have let Monica Lewinsky blow me.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. I don't think he ever should have perjured himself. I also don't think he ever should have been in the position where he was answering those questions.
I completely agree. I mean, the president's personal life, I'm of the opinion that it really, I mean, granted, you're on a pedestal. The world's looking at you. You are supposed to be your best behavior, but that really is your personal business. That does not affect the ruling of the country.
No, Newt Gingrich was running a little witch hunt, and let's see, that guy wasn't exactly being faithful to his wife either. So there you have it.
There you go. Yeah,
politics. Trying to steer clear of the politics, but
well, it was dumb. It was really dumb. I mean, Republican, Democrat. It's like, are we really like? There's nothing better we can be worried about right now than whether or not the president got blown.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Google was founded in 1998.
So the empire began in 98. That was a time capsule in the future. We'll look at that as the first day of the last days of mankind.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah.
The empire of Google, yeah. I didn't know that came out in 1998. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. The very same year the FDA approved the use of Viagra.
Oh, yeah. Wow, all this stuff's flooding back to me now. This big cultural thing, the Viagra, the computers, Bill Clinton. I remember even late night jokes comparing Bill Clinton's, Monica Lewinsky thing to the whole use of Viagra. That was kind of like a big tie-in, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really big tie-in.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, very.
What else we got?
Oh, I don't know. Any noteworthy deaths? Lloyd Bridges.
Okay.
Lloyd Bridges passed away. Phil Hartman's wife murdered him and herself. My very favorite Saturday Night Live cast member of all time. That's a shame.
It was a shame. That was really fucked up. She was a manic depressive and I think a recovering alcoholic. And supposedly, I don't know if this is true, but the story I always heard was that she was jealous of his success.
Yep.
Yeah, and they just, he was reportedly, and by all outward appearances, was, the nicest guy in the world, and he just, had some kind of argument with her and tried to push it aside, and she had too much of whatever it was that she thought that she was getting, and she finally just took it out on him by shooting him in the face as he slept in bed, yeah.
It's just fucked up, man.
Yeah, very fucked up.
I remember that day vividly, actually. I couldn't believe it. It was rough.
Yeah, it's sad when somebody that you really like, I mean, even if you don't know them personally, just like a performer that it's just so random and sudden the way he went. I
mean, and everything the guy touched is comedy gold. I mean, he's a genius. And it's a shame that Netflix is actually putting out a new Pee Wee Herman movie. And it's going to miss his writing. If you ever look at the credits on the Pee Wee's Big Adventure, I mean, Phil Hartman is listed before Paul Rubens. I mean, as the writer.
He's listed before Paul Rubens. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, he was an integral part of that. I mean,
sure.
He's just a fucking comedy genius, and it's a shame. But all right.
Well,
anything else from 1998 stand out to you?
1998 was the year when I was, I have trouble remembering what I was even doing in 1998. Was The Sopranos out in 98 or was that 99? Probably even later than that, wasn't it?
The Sopranos probably was 98.
Was it really? Was it that old?
Yeah, I think so. I think that could have been, yeah. Oscars. Big year at the Oscars for...
Oh, the Oscars. Shakespeare in Love. I remember that one specifically.
Did that one win?
It won the award for 1998, but the award that would have been given in 98 would have been given for the 1997 movies, which would have been Titanic.
Yep. And Best Actor, Best Actress?
Helen Hunt and Jack Nicholson.
There you go. You got it, man. Yeah.
I remember this shit, this useless pop culture trivia. I remember the Oscars.
Best Supporting Actor.
After I just said that I'm really good at this. I can do all the movies throughout any year from, let's say 1967 onward. I can guess any Best Picture. In fact, do one right now.
Oh, 1982, Best Picture.
82, Gandhi.
There you go.
Yep, I don't even have a list in front of me. Users at home, they think I'm lying, and I'm sure this is something that a lot of people really care about to disprove me, but whatever. Yeah, but supporting actresses and actors, I don't remember. I actually don't remember.
Robin Williams for Good Will Hunting.
Oh, how could I forget that? He was so good in that too.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that.
You've got a little personal story about Good Will Hunting. Do you care to share it or not? Because it is personal. No,
really.
Okay. Yeah, Howard's not much of a fan of Good Will Hunting.
It was a fine movie. It's just
The circumstances under which you watched it were not the best.
They were not, by any means.
Fair enough. Yeah. Shakespeare in Love, though, was the best picture of the year of 1998, and it beat out Saving Private Ryan, which many people thought should have won.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan was good. I don't know that I necessarily think it's incredibly great.
Did you see Shakespeare in Love?
I did not see Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah, I saw both. I would personally have gone with, out of the nominees presented, I would have chosen Saving Private Ryan over Shakespeare in Love, but
sure.
that was the year that a lot of people said that Miramax, Harvey and I can't remember the other guy's name, I'm sorry, the Weinsteins, they basically said that, they were accused of buying the Academy Awards, spending so much money that they won the award just by sheer press alone.
Now, do you think they did? Is that possible? Shouldn't the Academy be able to not let that happen?
Well, in a perfect world, yes.
I mean, who cares about if they spent money? Who cares what me and you think? I mean, if they're choosing the best pictures because they're the Academy, that shouldn't have influenced anything.
It shouldn't have. But again, we've talked about it. The Academy Awards are basically, half art, half politics.
It's fucking high school is all it is.
It really kind of is. It is kind of a popularity contest. So, I mean, I can see how some people would have been swayed, but I'm sure that there were others who didn't vote that way. So
sure.
It's really hard to tell.
Now, is there a movie from 1998 that stands out to you that really sets the tone for what you were doing in 1998? There are two that stand out to me really, really strongly, but I've got a hankering that one of them might be your choice. Then again, there's a movie of 1998 that I didn't care as much for that you love, though. So I'm gonna put it over to you. I'm gonna let you do your movie first, and I'll bounce off of that. Well, one of my if not, arguably my very, very favorite movie of all time is from 1998. Okay. I don't necessarily have one. It kind of depends on my mood. It is one of the first movies that springs to my mind whenever I'm asked what my favorite movie is. So it must be right up there, but I'm not going to cover that one today. Today I'm going to go for another movie I like very, very much, Rushmore, Wes Anderson's first film. At least the first one I've seen him make. I'm not sure if it's his first movie, but I'm pretty sure it is.
First one I've ever heard related to Wes Anderson.
Yeah. So, excellent movie. If you've never seen Rushmore, it's a comedy directed by Wes Anderson, and it's about this kid played by, what's his name? Jason Schwartzman. Yeah. Jason Schwartzman, and he plays a character named Max Fisher. He's like a mature, eccentric 15-year-old, and he's Rushmore's most, he's just... is basically their worst student, but their most ambitious extracurricular student. And he develops this crush on a teacher, and he's just trying to find a way, to be near this teacher, get with this teacher, and he befriends a millionaire played by
was that Murray?
Yeah, Bill Murray, and Bill Murray ends up falling for the teacher too. So the whole movie is kind of like an all-out war between the student, Bill Murray, and this teacher, and it's just fantastic. If you don't know anything about Wes Anderson, he kind of has his own little niche, his own little way of storytelling, and this is a little different. All of his movies after this movie kind of have a very similar tone. This one's a little more raw, so I don't know. It's an excellent movie. I can't recommend this movie enough. So Rushmore, if you've not seen it, run out and rent Rushmore. Good stuff.
Rush out to buy Rushmore.
There you go.
So now, you know my history with Wes Anderson, and I went into it with the podcast, or, in the podcast a little bit. I loved, to my surprise, the Grand Budapest Hotel. I was equally surprised that I was so disappointed with the Royal Tenenbaums back when that was new and hyped to oblivion. I'm not a fan of quirky for quirky's sake, but in the case of a movie like Grand Budapest, I think the quirkiness sort of seems to fit the mood and tone and story being told. All that having been said, where do you think somebody like me would fall on Rushmore?
You are.
I'm hard to nail down.
Exactly, yeah. You are. So it's really hard to say. I think you would like it. I don't know. I couldn't see why you wouldn't.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, interesting. That's not the one you would have chosen, but I'll save that one for another one. I won't give it away now.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, then, my choice is, this was a quiet little movie, came out of nowhere. It was nominated for a couple of awards in 1998 at the Oscars and other awards. It's A Simple Plan.
A Simple Plan. I kind of had a feeling that's the movie you would pick.
I kind of thought that you might mention it as well, which is why I kind of held off. Yeah, A Simple Plan is, you and I was about to say it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I've said that about pretty much every episode. I'm sorry, every movie I've mentioned in all these episodes. That needs a little bit of backstory. About 3 years ago, you and I can't remember who brought it up first, but we were on the phone talking about movies and our favorite ones, and one of us had the idea, you know what, I wonder if we could actually really sit down and plot out our literal, non-changing, like, top 100 of all time, like not just today, not yesterday, the all-time 100 favorite movies that we love. And we did it over the course of like a weekend. We sat down and we knocked out our actual favorite 100 movies of all time.
Sure did.
And yeah, it was a fun project. It actually was kind of a challenge. At first, I didn't think that I'd be able to come up with that many movies. Then I far surpassed that many, and I had to trim a lot of good favorites out to be able to make that number. But in the process, I actually took the step of ranking them all, which was even more of a struggle. I actually had to try to narrow, well, I didn't have to, but I chose to challenge myself to narrow down which ones are my top 10, which ones are in my, the last 10 of the top 100. And I bring this up because A Simple Plan wound up being, I think, right around, let's say, like 15 or 17. It's like really up there. This is, I think, just a glorious, absolutely fantastic movie. It's basically this. It's based on a book. The author's name eludes me right now. I should have looked it up. I'm sorry that I don't know it off the top of my head. It's basically a somber, serious movie directed by Sam Raimi. Takes place in the wintertime. It's all about a quiet town and a man played by Bill Paxton who stumbles upon a suitcase full of money. He's out in the woods with his brother, played by, help me out, Billy Bob Thornton,
yep,
and a friend of his, a mutual friend. The three of them, again, they're living in a quiet town. They're just out in the woods, and they just happen to find a small passenger plane that's crashed with something like, I can't remember what the sum is, like $1 million, $1.5 million, something like that.
Yeah, a boatload of cash.
Yeah, just a satchel full of money. And the movie is basically them trying to sit on it until the spring. They assume that it must be some kind of illicit drug money or something. They're going to sit on the money, tell nobody, and then when spring comes, if no one has claimed it, if it hasn't been like a big thing, if it's swept under the rug, which they assume it is based on the fact that they think it's a criminal activity that led to the money being there, then they figure they're going to divide it between the three of them and spend it. And, of course, the movie is all about how just that one decision.
How a simple plan,
yes, just goes completely wrong. And that's really all I'm going to say, because the joy of the movie is just, it's subtle, it's nuanced, it's quiet, it's somber, it's sad. It's just one little thing after the other just leads this decision of taking this money into just complete tragedy. And it's brilliant. I can't say enough about it. It was a wonderful movie.
And I got to say this about the movie. If I'm nailed down to say what I think might be the single best performance by any actor in any movie ever, I might actually give that to Billy Bob Thornton for A Simple Plan.
That's amazing.
The subtleties of his character in that movie are fucking fantastic. He fucking nails it. He is so good at, and even the first pass through watching that movie, I don't know that I would have necessarily felt that way. I watched that movie a second time, and Billy Bob Thornton is fucking phenomenal in that movie. Just he plays like the loser brother, the drunken loser brother, who's not as big of a loser as he comes across. He just gave
He's a little bit dim-witted, though. He's got that reputation because
he has that
slow,
reputation, but you can kind of tell, like, it's more that he's a nice guy rather than a dipshit. He's just his brother got the education. His brother got put through college. He didn't. And, his brother feels a little superior, for that. And you can kind of tell he's not necessarily the brighter of the two. I at least, that's what I get. I don't know. Just the subtleties of Billy Bob Thornton in that movie and the whole character development and the whole arc of his character is fucking phenomenal. And I might actually have to give that the one single best performance ever. Did he win an award for that role? Because he fucking should have.
He did not win, but he was nominated for Best Actor.
Who the fuck won over that?
Oh, 98. Again, you're killing me. 98. Fuck, it wasn't Ed Harris. Oh, this is going to bug the hell out of me. See, again, I'm good with Best Pictures, but the actors and actresses, especially in the supporting actor and actress category, I'm not as good at. Damn, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. That'd be
it's going to bug me.
Well,
It was a brilliant performance. The characters in the movie, the relationships are very complex. Again, they're subtle, they're nuanced. It's not just about them trying to determine how and what to do with the money. It's about their relationship to one another. All three of the central characters.
exactly.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for anybody who wants, again, a slow building, just ratcheting suspense movie that's all about the drama, just the characters, the complexities. It's again, I can't say enough. It's just a fantastic movie.
Yeah, great fucking movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that brings us to Grand Theft Auto.
Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
Grand Theft Auto, man.
The original.
I wonder how many people nowadays would actually have ever played the original Grand Theft Auto. I wonder how many people would turn around now after the 3D Grand Theft Autos and ever give this first one a chance.
That's what I thought. I just, you remember the crude graphics, and even at the time when it first came out, you thought, look, wow, this, compared to what, Tomb Raider and things people were playing, it didn't look like much. But
See, I actually didn't. In fact, let's take a step back. You go ahead and explain your first run-in with the game, and then I'll explain mine, because I think we had similar experiences.
yeah, I heard about this game that was, already before it even released, being, threatened to be pulled off of shelves, and it wasn't where, it was, you were a criminal, Grand Theft Auto, a drug dealer, and this and that, and all the hoopla. So I immediately, obviously, intrigued and wanted to play the game. And I ended up going over to a friend's house who had just rented it. And fucking A, if that wasn't some of the most fun I've ever had just picking up a game. Just driving around and smashing people and stealing cars and shooting people and spinning out and driving over people, hitting them a couple times just to watch their little blood splatter get bigger and bigger. I mean, it was just ridiculously fun. And so that was basically my first experience with it. And I've been a fan ever since.
With me, it was the same thing. Again, I'm kind of proud of the fact that both of us really kind of we didn't just stumble onto this. We both gunned for this game when we first heard about it. It was that sounds awesome. I have to check this out. It was getting poo-pooed because of the graphics. It was oh my God, the graphics aren't totally 3D, like you said, Tomb Raider. They're not whatever, I can't remember what other, maybe they're not Crash Bandicoot, whatever.
Sure.
So people were kind of crapping on it, but then you'd also hear these other people say, you know what, even if the graphics aren't the best, the gameplay is really good. Yeah.
And you know what, though? Upon going back and playing it and looking at the graphics, they're not terrible.
No, they're not.
It's an overhead view that was it wasn't, they weren't really doing that. I think that's what threw people off more than anything. Once you're actually immersed in the game and playing it, it actually looks pretty good.
Well, when I first heard of Grand Theft Auto, the very first exposure I ever had to it, and I kick myself now because I was actually going to dig this magazine out. I still have the copy of PSM, PlayStation Magazine. It was at the time an unofficial but very, very good, very thorough, very, very just well-informed magazine all about the PlayStation. And they had just a little sidebar. I'm flipping through the pages. I think it was an ad on page left, and then over here on page right, just on a column on the right-hand side of the page, it just had a photo of Grand Theft Auto. I was just looking at this top-down shot of cars driving around and buildings and whatnot, and the article basically said, yeah, in this game that's coming out in a month or two, you basically just drive around and jack cars. That was a big term back then, jack. You still hear that nowadays, but
exactly,
back then,
carjacking. That was all the rage in the news was people getting carjacked in LA all the time.
Yes, that was a thing. Yeah, I mean, and of course it still happens, but you never really hear anybody talk about it anymore. It's just kind of second nature or whatever. But back then it was a big thing that you had this game where you could not only jack cars, but you could just like you said, just randomly just run over pedestrians and cause their their blood to spill out onto the pavement. The game review. Oh, it was just a preview at that point. They showed a bunch of different vehicles. They said, yeah, you can jump into a taxi, you can jump into an ambulance, and just the freedom. If anything, the little preview spelled freedom. It just sounded like, wow, this is such an open-ended game.
Exactly. One of the first non-linear open-ended do whatever you feel like games I remember.
It really was. It was kind of like, and this is an odd comparison, but it's sort of like the first Legend of Zelda game in a way, because they just drop you down in the middle of this area, and you're just free to. Yeah, I mean, they kind of point you in the direction where you
Sure.
should go, but I mean, they let you just roam wherever you want and do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time? Did you own Grand Theft Auto?
Never owned it. Never owned it.
owned
Never. I've never played it as much as I've played it for this podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a copy of. I take that back. I did own a copy, but long after I ended up getting rid of my PlayStation 1. So oddly enough, I saw it at a rummage sale and picked it up. And that's the one I was actually looking for because I have access to a PlayStation 1. And I was actually going to play it on the PlayStation 1, and I couldn't find my copy. So I don't know that I necessarily still have it, or if I gave it to somebody, or I've moved a couple times since owning it and just couldn't locate it. But that's why I ended up playing the PC version. So I've never actually owned the game while I actually owned the console to play it.
Right. I remember that you didn't own it brand new when it first came out. Yeah.
Right. So I've never put more time into the game as I have this past couple of weeks.
I've actually got a little bit of a story to tell about how I first acquired the game, if I may.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, basically, after having seen this ad, this would have been the spring of 1998. I would have put it around, let's say, May or June. At that point, I was living in a town way to the west. I wasn't in Kenosha at this point. I was living in a small town called Darien, which is like 2,000 people, nothing going on. I was out there because my girlfriend, my then girlfriend, she's not the one that I frequently mention. This is the one who, well, you never met her, but she's the one who you're well aware became a stripper.
Right.
Everyone who knows me knows her as the stripper ex. Before she was a stripper and broke my heart by doing that, not my thing, she was out there living in that area, and I moved out there in that area to be kind of near her. She was still with her folks. I had just turned 18, so I was still with mine. So we were kind of hanging out in that area where there was nowhere to go, nothing to do. And I was reading this article about this game that was coming out, and I thought, I have to own this game. Being in a small town, your options are pretty limited. There weren't any Walmarts nearby, no Menards, no Targets, no Best Buy, nothing like that. So I started going on like a multi-city jaunt after reading this article. They didn't give a specific release date. I just knew that it was coming soon. So for the next, I'd say month and a half, every time she came over and she wanted to, go out and, do something, I said, hey, let's, go out of town and go check out some shops, and we'll go to dinner. In the meantime, I'll look at some stores, see if I can spot this game. Because at the time, no internet, again, no stores nearby. That was the only way I knew of to try and get this game.
Yeah.
And the longer it evaded me, the more it became like an obsessive quest. I have to get this game. This game sounds so fucking fun. I really want to get this.
I kind of fucking miss that, just on a side note. I kind of miss the mysteriousness of going out to the store. What am I going to find? I don't have, anything I want now. I can just go and order it and it'll be at my door and I don't have to worry about it. And there's nothing involved. I'm a comic book collector, or I used to collect vinyl records, things like that. I mean, you used to really have to go into a comic book shop, hope you had enough money in your pocket, hope you found the comic book you were been hunting for the past how many years, or same, that record that's eluded you for the past 3 years. And, all these stars had to align for you to actually score big like that. And that's just something, kids these days will never get to experience. The pure joy of finding that, that forbidden fruit, that thing you've been eluding you all these years. So.
God, yeah. It's convenient, which is great, but the thing is, convenience has completely disintegrated the chase. The quest, it's not there anymore. I mean, anyone, as you said, can spend 5 minutes just, clicking. You don't even have to get up off your bed, just clicking things on your mouse.
Nowadays, the only thing I could really compare that feeling to is if you go out to a rummage sale and you're like, oh, holy shit, that's awesome for $1. Awesome, good find. But that's really the only time I ever get that, that feeling again. So.
And with me, more than almost any other game, I'm sure there's going to be some experiences that I remember that just off the top of my head right now I'm forgetting. But I mean, more than perhaps any other game, at least in my young adult life, this was a game that just again, it became the quest. I needed to get this fucking game. I was hearing about it. I started hearing about it on the news. I kept on hearing, okay, it does exist. It is out on the shelves now. I just hadn't seen it yet. So finally, by now it has to be about June or July. I mean, again, it was at least a few weeks, maybe a month after the game was released. I still hadn't seen it, on a random trip to Rockford, Illinois, which at the time for me was probably, it took us maybe 40 minutes to get there, so it was a good drive out of town. I didn't expect to see it. We went to a mall called the Cherryvale Mall. I checked there. They didn't have it. They owned it. I'm sorry, they stocked it, but they did not have any copies in. It was all sold out, which just excited me even more. It's like, oh my God, the game exists. There's the spot for it. It's flying off the shelves. I need to get it. It just ramped up my desire that much further. On a whim, I totally didn't expect to see it, but we went like a mile or two, down the road to the nearby Target in Rockford, Illinois, and they had it. They had it, and I will never forget. The cover of Grand Theft Auto is one of my favorite covers of all time, not just because of the cover itself, which I like, which we'll get into shortly, but because when I saw it, when I went into the store thinking, Target's not, if the mall doesn't have it, why would Target have it? When I went in there and I saw it there in the shelves, it was just, like you said, you can't capture that moment. It's one thing to order something and, open your door and get the package in your mailbox or whatever. When you walk into the store not expecting to see that thing you really, really want, and there it is looking at you, it's just, oh my God, that's such a satisfying feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my story of getting Grand Theft Auto. It was a huge quest, and I played it all night. I played the fuck out of the game. It was well worth the wait.
All right.
At the time. Has it lived up, though? Well, I guess now we'll have to talk about that part.
Well, I've played the fuck out of that game over the last couple of weeks. I think it holds up.
Interesting. Okay.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a little cumbersome. It's a little odd to get used to again.
Let's talk about that. Actually, I'm going to take one quick step back. I want to make sure I hear what you have to say. What do you think about the cover of the game? Do you remember it, or do you have it in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me, but I remember it. Yeah, it's a fine cover to the game. It's neat. I like it just fine. I don't know.
Okay.
The font sticks out in my head more than anything, just the way it's written out.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's one of the things I wanted to mention. The Grand Theft Auto font has changed. I think it changed it changed with this game. Grand Theft Auto 2 was just simply generically called GTA 2.
Right.
And, from Grand Theft Auto 3 onward, it's had the font that it has now.
Yeah.
All, lowercase letters, and it's all, designed a specific way, whatever.
Sure.
The original Grand Theft Auto was very 70s. It was, it had like flames shooting out of the title, and it had little stars. It was, all capital letters. It was orange and yellow. Really.
It did. It was very like disco.
Yeah, it is a very disco logo. Yes, it is. And I think that really kind of lent to the theme, the vibe of the game.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, well then, I guess, I'm trying to think. The story, there's not really a whole lot of story to this game.
No, there really isn't, is there? You are basically, you can pick through whatever, various avatars.
That's right. They let you pick between like 4 to 8. On the PC version, you had females. The PlayStation version only offers you like 4 males.
Okay.
And no matter who you pick, they all look identical. Like your little.
Yeah, it's not like it matters who you pick. If for some reason you're like, I'm the fat guy, and then it's like the guy running around doesn't look anything like.
Little dude in yellow. Yeah, I haven't tested this. I wish I thought to do so, but they offer you the choice of one black guy. I wonder if his avatar or your little guy is also white in a yellow sweater, just like all the other characters.
We should have checked that out.
I should have. Somebody at home, go check that out. Get a copy of the game and pick the black guy and see if he shows up as white, because if so, that's just hilarious. Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. You start out right away.
And you mentioned the controls. You said right off the bat the controls were cumbersome. I'd like to hear about that, because I agree.
Just driving the car, just the direction, and then running around. I mean, it's a little weird. It's a little weird, like, hold a button, and like, they have your guy running, and then, like, you have to go right and left to, like, just to...
It's tank controls. I wasn't expecting that. I hadn't remembered the game being that way.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't remember it being that way at all either. But, once... I mean, that's, 10 minutes, and you forgot all about that it was weird, and it just feels normal. Like, any game has a learning curve, so...
Did you find that... Oh, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, any game has a learning curve, and, it's just, getting used to the controls again, so...
Did you find that your memory of the more recent Grand Theft Auto games kind of fucked with you? Like were you trying to press like the wrong buttons? Because the controls are different for this.
Yeah, to a point, except, not really. I didn't expect it to be that, obviously with Grand Theft Auto 3 and on, it was a lot different. So I didn't, I didn't relate the two.
That's interesting, because for me, that was actually a problem at first. At the very beginning, for one thing, again, I didn't expect the tank controls. You have to hold down the X button to make your character go forward. I mean, not even just the car, to make your character walk.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was awkward. It was awkward at first.
Yeah, not only was that awkward, but in addition, I kept on...
It didn't ruin it for me by any means. Like, once I got used to it, it was like, all right, whatever.
It didn't ruin it for me, but it took me a little bit longer to adjust to because I kept on pressing. And now in my mind I'm all discombobulated because I'm remembering the old controls based on these controls. I think I kept on pressing triangle to exit the vehicle, which is what the controls are on the modern games. Yeah, and I think that's like reverse in this new game. They give you a few different control schemes, and I can't remember which one I picked, but they're all kind of awkward.
Exactly. I had like circle for go, triangle for reverse. X was like get into the car and get out of the car. And
I think that you had the same setting as I did then. Yeah.
And I think square actually changes your weapons and shit.
Oh, then it was different. For me, it was like L1, I think, changed
I had like square changing my weapons, and then I think L or R2 was like my shoot or whatever.
Oh, these all sound so awkward. Oh,
it was awkward. It was weird. Like I said,
Well, speaking of controls, you mentioned the shooting. I thought the shooting in this game was fucking terrible.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to. You're chasing somebody down, just shooting. It's like, and it just keeps going. You have to be facing right towards them for it to even hit.
Yes, this game is like a game of fine degrees. Like you have to hit a guy at like a perfect 90-degree angle. Otherwise, any degree over and you're gonna miss him. It's ridiculous.
It's true. That's true.
Yeah, that I thought was kind of crappy especially because the game throws a lot of actual, armed combat scenarios at you, and the game affords you like in this game, one shot and you're dead. If you get hit with a bullet, you are fucking dead.
Yep.
And they do give you bulletproof armor or whatever, but for me at least, it was hit and miss. Like sometimes I seem to die with one hit.
It really didn't seem to do a whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little bit bizarre.
You can't get wet or you die.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those. That's right. I didn't even try because I remember that. Yeah,
poisonous water.
If I recall correctly, it took to I was going to say Vice City, but it was San Andreas. I think it was all the way to the sixth official game in the series before you could fucking swim.
You couldn't swim in 3? I could have sworn you could swim in 3.
I don't think so. I'm willing to admit that I could be wrong, but I don't remember ever touching the water in that game.
Okay. I haven't played that in so long.
Yeah, same here. I just remember it was really kind of a big coup that you could actually get under the water and collect seashells and shit in San Andreas. It was like, oh my god, you don't die from touching your foot in a pool.
Sure.
Oh goodness, yeah. How did you think the actual if the actual controls were a little bit bizarre, how quickly did you ease into the actual like navigating the city, driving around traffic and shit like that?
Yeah. See, that's Thank God you get points for bumping into cars and shit.
I could be wrong, but on the PlayStation version, I'm not even sure if you do. If you do, they certainly don't show up. I
used that to boost my my leveling up and shit.
Because you're right, you don't even fucking have to. In this, oh my god, I'll get into this later. But what started as just a thrilling sort of like juvenile, yeah, I'm playing Grand Theft Auto again. By the end, it was if I go another fucking 10 feet and my car comes within a pixel length of another car and I have to bash into it and bonk, 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 bonk to try and scoot around it another fucking time, I'm throwing a brick through my screen.
Yeah. I'll be real honest with you. I love this game, but I could care less about the fucking missions. I don't care about them at all. I have fun driving. I mean, I was whisked back to the time of just driving around and just causing chaos and blowing shit up and shooting people and running people over and outrunning the cops. And quite honestly, most of these missions are pretty similar. None of them really stand out. None of them are particularly super fun. So I guess.
So for you, driving around, you didn't really have the pressure then. You were just kind of fucking around.
Yeah.
You just had fun. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
what
interesting.
these games
you did
are.
That.
You can play just about any Grand Theft Auto game and not give a shit about the missions and have fucking hours of fun. So.
Well, and that is how the game was originally designed. I mean, again, we talked about it. This was one of the, not the first, but one of the early examples of the PlayStation, of really any games in general, where you're just given a sandbox, just to play in. Exactly. I mean, this is just an open world, just go have fun, do your own thing kind of game.
Pretty much gave you 3 open worlds. I mean, they gave you 3 pretty decent-sized cities in this fucking, I mean, you get the 3 main cities they always have in all the other games, so.
That's true. Yeah, this first game set a lot of precedents of the series. That one of which is, of course, again, you've got the Vice City, the San Andreas, and Liberty City. Yeah,
I forgot how much of this. I mean, they really hit the ground running with this game when it came out to really giving it a lot of thought. They really put a lot of effort and thought into this game.
What stands out specifically? Like
Just
what did you?
all the different types of cars that are available, the different
Sure.
the different way they respond. I mean, it seemed like, upon looking at the game, it just seemed like it would be a generic game, and maybe a couple cars look different, but no, they all respond differently. They all respond appropriately. There's all the different different mobs, different gangs that are throughout the other games are in this first game. I mean,
Well, the game was originally it was designed, unless I'm completely mistaken, by Sam and Dan Houser, who are still with Rockstar. Their company was DMA Design, which is now Rockstar North, I believe.
Okay.
And at the time, they were trying to make basically just like kind of like a generic race. I don't want to say generic. I'm sure they weren't aiming to make a generic game.
Right.
But their description of what it was at first was a game called Race and Chase, and it was basically just a game where you're, I guess, just driving around this big city and just whatever, like doing stunts or whatever. And apparently they had police AI that was too aggressive. Like they found that instead of the cops like driving up to the player and trying to pull him over or whatever, the cops would ram the player and like, I guess, try and force him off the road. And they decided that's actually a fun mechanic. We should make this game all about committing crimes and trying to elude the cops. Sure. And I can only assume that it's from that they decided, like you said, to start implementing like all these different car dynamics and different vehicles that all had different speeds and handling. Yeah.
Well, not just that. I mean, like the different mafias, the different cities and the different, things. I mean, it's pretty well fucking thought out for a first go around at it.
Yeah, they did a good job of creating a living world. They created like a very identifiable tone.
In a world they have not really moved away from. I mean, they've enhanced it, they've made it better, they've made it more detailed, they've made it more user friendly and appealing to this day and age of gaming. But I mean, the basic skeleton's pretty much the same.
Yeah, the main series has never changed. The main series is all about, committing crimes in these various cities and basically, just trying to get up in the world and just become a successful criminal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. But it's interesting that you played the game without really focusing on any of the missions. I guess now we're getting into the game.
I did play a lot of the missions, don't get me wrong. I just said I didn't really care about them. Basically in this game, do your missions, a lot of the missions anyways, there's phones. You go find, there's different phones set up, and depending on which phone you answer, there's an according mission. And so that's kind of, you have a pager, which I find hilarious, because
that was really big at the time.
1998, that was all pagers. You always knew which kid was the drug dealer in class because he had his pager he kept fucking checking. Yeah, I actually really like. That's one of the things that I like about this game. That as we do the episode, you'll find that there are some things that I think are better, and some that I obviously think are worse as the series progressed. One of the things that I miss is this random, you're kind of a nobody more or less throughout the game. I mean, you have better and better and more lucrative missions, but throughout the whole game, you're not getting all these really involved cutscenes to where you're getting to know the boss and working up in the criminal underworld. You're literally you're spending the whole game, like you said, answering phones. You're answering pay phones in the city, just grabbing them and picking them up, and they're like, hey, I need you to go do this job. I like that. I like the uber insulting fucking phone calls you get when you fail a mission.
That's one of the things that I love about this game, yes. That's one of the total positives. In modern Grand Theft Autos, when you fail a mission, you basically just get a message that says fail, and you're pissed. In the first Grand Theft Auto, half of the fun is failing the missions because they all have individualized, unique text for every different mission you fail. And you're right, they'll call you shit like a good job, you inbred retard, you piece of shit cocksucker, you fucked up the mission. All I had to do was have you do this one thing, and you fucked it up. I could kill you in a minute,
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I thought that was good stuff. Yeah, a character. The game had a lot of character.
A lot of character. Again, for being if you've never played it and you just look at still shots, you would wonder how anything we're saying is true because it just looks like a shitty game. It is really fun.
Well, let's stop for a second to talk about the graphics. I actually never did, and still, believe it or not, if anything, you might disagree, that's one of the things I felt did hold up. I thought the graphics still looked as good as they ever did. Which isn't to say they look great.
Again, this was comparatively speaking to the kind of game, everybody was having, Tekken was out and Tomb Raider was out and all these
that same year, at the end of that year, Metal Gear came out. Metal Gear Solid. So
exactly. Yeah. And, so, that's what we were comparing it to at the time. So, but, playing it now, honestly, when your eyes adjust and you get used to playing it, it actually looks really good. The cars look decent. It's I don't know. The cities are huge, actually, for what it is.
There really are. I'd forgotten when the game first ships, you get a map with it. You get an actual paper map, and of course, I don't still have. If I do have mine, I have no idea where it is. You had to play the PC version, so you don't even have one. So
No.
when you go, I'd forgotten this, but when you go online, as I had to do to look up the map, like I didn't realize that they're actually really legitimately modeled after the cities they take place in. When you look at the model, or I'm sorry, the map of Liberty City, it literally looks like Manhattan. It's awesome. They did a good job.
Yeah, have you compared the maps to the modern games? Are they like the same size? Like, are they to scale like the same?
That's a good question. No, I didn't. They're huge. I know that much.
Yeah,
As
I'm
far
just
as
wondering if
scale,
like
I
San
don't know.
Andreas in this first one is like the same as the San Andreas the game. I mean, it's like the same map basically. Like the roads are all there, and I'm not sure.
Probably not to that level of accuracy, but I mean, as far as size relative to your character, probably. I mean, obviously, in the first Grand Theft Auto, there's no wilderness or anything in the San Andreas,
Right.
but as far as comparing like the actual city area of San Andreas, it's pretty huge.
Yeah, it is. It was. I mean,
They give you a big playground.
yeah, pretty fucking rad.
One thing I noticed about the graphics is that I had always remembered, of course, having been a fan of this game growing up, that it was a top-down perspective, which was, again, that's something they carried through all the way till the third game. The third game changed this, but they even still included a mode in the third game to where you could press the select button and look down on your character top-down, like the first two games in the series, which I always thought was cool. So in the first game, I loved that, and I always remember that as being part of what made it distinct. But one thing I had forgotten is that oh man, there's two things about it that I was not anticipating that drove me up the wall. One is that the view, the width of how much of the city around your character you see increases depending on how fast you go. So if you're in a car and you're driving really fast, the camera like pulls upward and zooms out, so you have more actual area of sight around your character. If you slow down, which you're doing every 6.5 seconds in this game because you're
Gotcha.
constantly running into another car, the map zooms way back down. So when you're playing the game, the map is zooming out, zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, just constantly.
Kind of nauseating.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, while I never got sick playing this game, I'm legitimately, without hyperbole, really surprised that no one ever actually claimed that they got motion sickness from playing this game. I'm serious. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I'm sure they probably did that so, like, when you're going fast, you can anticipate the traffic ahead of you, so you can try to navigate around it. However, good luck trying to navigate around it. Fucking.
Well, I mean, the problem is you have to get fast to even get that map zoomed out enough to see that distance around you, but the game won't let you get fast because you're constantly fucking rear-ending other cars. There's just so much traffic. Yeah, and the navigation is so, like, I don't know why. I can play the modern Grand Theft Auto game, zipping in and out of traffic, weaving between lanes. I don't know what it is about this first Grand Theft Auto, but I cannot reiterate this enough. You are constantly, constantly bumping into other cars.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean that. What would have made it? What would have made it good to me would have been able to have an adjustable, like permanent zoom level. Let me zoom out or let me zoom in. Let me decide. That would have been fine.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to mention, this is part and parcel with what I just said. Did you notice that when you are even if you're driving at a good clip and the map is fully zoomed out, it wobbles like it kind of like bobs back and forth a little bit. Like the camera does not. It's not like smooth. It kind of bounces around even at full zoom. I don't know if you noticed that.
Not to a point where it was distracting me by any means. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that was a little bit of a pain in the ass to me. That I would not describe as the graphics being bad because you're not. I mean, that's more of a camera behavioral thing. So I mean, that kind of bugged me. But as far as graphics goes, that's visually that's the only thing that really kind of got my goat.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, was there any missions that particularly stuck out that you enjoyed? I kind of found them, there was really only a handful of different types of missions, and they were all kind of like doing the same things over and over again. So,
well, right off the bat, so one thing that stands out about the mission structure in this game is that they're completely. I don't want to say completely because they're obviously programmed to follow a certain path or whatever. But you, the player, like you never really know what you're going to get for two reasons. One, again, you go and approach a phone, and there's always like 4 phones in a row, and they're all ringing, and each one leads to a different set of missions. Yeah, so whenever you pick up a phone, you never know what mission you're going to get. Those aren't randomized. You can predict it. If you play through the game a few times, like those are always
sure, exactly. Each phone has its own. Yeah, phone 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you can go and
right. Yeah, so I mean, right off the bat, so you don't know which mission you're going to get by picking up, the phone, unless you've played the game enough to, have them memorized. But in addition, after you complete a mission, they're like multi-tiered. In the modern Grand Theft Auto games, if you do a mission, there's usually several steps. You steal a car, you stake out a building, then you have to like go plant something under a building somewhere, whatever. In this game, they're like totally slapdash. Like one mission that stands out is it's very early in the game. It's one of the first payphones. You deliver 2 taxis to somebody,
Yep.
and then like the next thing you do is like follow somebody's wife. It's like, what do those two things have anything to do with each other? And they don't.
One thing I didn't like, too, is, like, a lot of that information you're getting, you have to read it across the screen really fast. And if you didn't have, like, a chance, if I was, like, looking off the other way, I wasn't expecting to have, like, another portion of that mission to happen immediately, I'll miss what it said to me.
Now, on the PlayStation version, by hitting select, you can bring the most recent mission back up again.
I wasn't aware. I didn't know. So I just made it a point to make sure I knew I was looking from that point on. But a couple of times I had, there's an arrow pointing towards something. So I'm like, well, I must have to go this way. And then there's like a car or like, somebody I was supposed to follow, but I didn't know I was supposed to follow him. So I had to go and like kill him or smack into him or shoot him. And I end up failing my mission that way. But
that led to me failing a couple times. There were some missions later on in the game where you had to like deliver a payoff to like 3 different corrupt cops.
Sure.
And the first two, actually one of the things I should step back really quick. One of the things that I like about the text in this game is that it's part of the charm. You get like this little chattery sound effect, and you get like this little mouth at the bottom of the screen with words on the screen saying, "Hey, go over here, go over there," or whatever. It's not voice acted. This is the age when games did not really have a lot of voice acting. At least for kind of the moderate, budgeted games like this. So when you are reading the text and you're, getting this hints or whatever, it like pops up and you get these little commands, and that's part of the humor is reading these little messages that you get. So this one that I got was talking about, hey, go pay off these corrupt cops. And the third cop, the text was something along the lines of, he's really sneaky, I don't trust him, like, be on your guard, whatever. So when I got, when I went and like connected my little character to the little cop character, when I went, like ran into him or whatever to like collect the money, he said, I can't remember what he said. He said some comment like, hey, this isn't as much as I was supposed to get, we have a problem now, whatever. He was confrontational. So I assumed, okay, I'm going to have to eventually wind up killing this guy probably really quick, so I better just do it now before he pulls his gun out. So I killed the cop, because it was clear that he was, posturing towards me, but I still failed the mission anyway. And he said something like, oh, you asshole, I didn't tell you to kill the cop. And it's like, well, the game was like really kind of leading me in that direction. I mean, I have to specifically wait for the text. It's just that kind of shit kind of got on my nerves. Like you said, like you can't always tell like whether you're supposed to just follow a guy. There was another one where I was supposed to follow a guy to a payphone and then kill him before he gets to the payphone. But what they didn't tell me was wait till he gets out of the car first, then kill him before he gets. Like, what fucking difference does it make if I blow him up when he's in the car or if I wait till he jumps out of the car? If I have to kill him, who cares? Yeah, that kind of shit got on my nerves. Fortunately, that didn't happen too often, but it does happen.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't care for a lot of the missions. None of them were particularly hard, just kind of tedious if they were like time limited, that kind of thing. But
I've got some stories about some missions I didn't care for.
You go ahead.
Oh my God. You talk about missions that weren't too hard. I've got it here in my notes. Okay. It's later on in the game. It's like whatever, like stage 5 or 6. There's 6 total stages in this game, broken down between the 3 cities. It's 2 each per city. I think this was stage 5. What I have here is the guy told me to get a car. Then I have to bring the car to the guy. Then the guy has me drive the car to get his kids. After I've driven the car to get his kids, then I have to drive the kids to a hotel and drop them off. Then, that's like a 4-stage mission. I figure I'm done. But oh no, it goes on. In this same mission strand, which can be failed at any point during any of these many minutes I'm committing to this mission, now I have to randomly get the guy's stolen car that he'd given to his daughter. So I have to chase a guy down and get in his car or whatever and drive off. Then I have to bring that car to the same guy. So not only am I doing stuff, running out and grabbing cars, whatever, I have to then like confirm it with the guy. I have to, go grab the car, then drive the car to the guy. Then after that, I have to drive the car to, what do we have? A garage. After I bring the car to a garage, then I have to go get the car of a reporter who's been following this guy around. Not only do I have to get this car that's been following this guy around, now I have to bring the car again to the guy so he can personally confirm whether or not it has any evidence on him. Once I do that, he says there isn't any evidence on him, so go ahead and go trash the car. But I don't just trash the car, I have to go bring it to a specific garage. Now that I've done that and dropped off the car that he thought was reporting on him, after I've already, retrieved his kids and dropped them off at a hotel and then chased down his wife or whatever the fuck I'm sorry. No, that's the next part. Now I have to get the guy's wife and then I have to bring the wife to the guy. Then after I bring the wife to the guy, then finally I bring her to a garage where they kill her and then that finally ends the mission. If you're confused, so was I. Because I mean, the minute and a half I just spent discussing this was like a 20-minute mission that had me doing 4 or 5 completely unrelated things with a bunch of extra steps in the middle for no fucking reason. Don't just go get a car, bring it to the guy.
Just to have to drive through traffic lots.
Yeah, just to drive back and forth across the map half a fucking dozen times.
Yeah.
And again, if you fail at any point in this mission, all your progress in the last 10 minutes is, it's 10 minutes isn't a big deal until you're driving back and forth across the map of Grand Theft Auto and you're getting really tired of doing it.
And it's also not like a lot of other Grand Theft Auto games where you just have unlimited lives.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. This game's got a life limit. Yeah, you got 5 lives, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just keep doing it over and over and over again. You eventually fucking die. So it's yeah.
And when that happens, that's it. You have to start the stage over. I mean, and the way the stages work, you have to get up to a certain score. The score in this game is basically money. Basically how it works is once you get up to a certain limit, whether that's 1 million, 3 million, whatever, once you reach a certain amount of points, then you advance, then you open up the ability to go see your boss, and then he, pushes you forward to the next level.
The first one, I think it's $1 million for the first, to level up the first time.
I think so, yeah. By the end of the game,
2 million the second time, and it just progressively gets more, bigger and bigger.
And basically what that amounts to is if you're not necessarily having fun or specifically just whatever, rampaging, dicking around, killing people, if you want to actually proceed in this game, there comes a point where if you fail the missions enough, when you fail a mission, that's it. You don't get it again. But that's one of the other frustrating things about this game is that if you fail a mission, which again can be done at any point during the 10 segments of the mission they sometimes give you, that's it. You can't play it again. You've lost that mission, which means not only can you not have the fun of trying to go through it again, but you lose the points it would have given you.
Right.
So in this game, if you fail enough missions, you can't get your score up to the point to where you can advance to the next level, and you have to earn those points by doing other shit, by bumping into cars and killing people. Which, fun though that is, that's a much slower progression.
Yeah, exactly. I did find myself bumping into as much shit as I possibly could from time to time just to help boost my fucking points.
Did you enjoy that, though?
No.
Yeah.
No. Like I said, I fucking adore this game. It is so fun. I could give a shit about the missions. I mean, they're fun to do from time to time, and every time I'll do one, I just don't ever feel obliged. I don't feel like I need to do it. I honestly just love to run amok. I do enough shit to unlock the other 2 cities, and then I just run amok, and I have fun playing the game.
Well, that's the thing. There's really 2 different ways to play the game. You can play, it probably gives you, I would think, a pretty meaty, I'd say something like 75 missions. That's just a guess, but it's got to be up there. I mean, they give you a lot of missions in this game.
I believe they give you 55 missions.
55? It's that low.
Yeah, 55 phone missions. There's probably other driving missions and other things.
Oh, yeah.
That number.
See, that's the thing. Not only in addition to the actual phone missions, which again, even though there might only be 55, those 55 have their own like the taxi cab example I gave earlier. Steal 2 taxis and now go follow my wife.
Sure.
That's just that alone. That's 2 missions within 1 payphone. But in addition to all that, in addition to the actual missions, there are stranded cars here and there that you can hop into, and sometimes your pager alerts you to these vehicles that if you get into them, they trigger missions of their own.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, is that mission you're talking about, is that the heist mission that you didn't like?
The one that I went into in great, exhaustive, boring detail?
Yeah.
Heist mission. No, I don't remember there being a heist to it, no.
Okay.
Although there was a heist mission that I did that I don't really remember anything
Yeah.
specific about.
So that's just it. None of these are like super fun or. I mean, it's not bad.
They're
I mean,
funny. I would say they're more funny.
yeah, exactly.
than fun.
I more or less like the banter on the phone when you fuck up a mission more than anything. It's like I don't feel compelled to ever finish a mission because I want to get like belittled by the asshole on the fucking phone.
There was one mission I did where I had to steal a truck, and I was so delighted when I saw this. I got close on the truck, and the guy jumped out and started firing at me, and the text says, and I quote, "Get away from my truck, you goddamn little rat bastard." That's fun. That kind of thing is fun. Seeing the little text on the screen with the little mouth, blah blah blah. That's cool. I get a kick out of that.
What about the cutscenes? Now, like I said, I don't like the missions. I did play a shitload of the missions for the sake of the podcast. I drew the conclusion that I wasn't going to bother playing every single one of them.
You can't. You can't. It's so time consuming. And it's grindy. It's not fun. I shouldn't say it's not fun. I personally enjoyed the missions, but if you really want to conquer them all, you're going to get irritated by the end of the game.
Sure.
Yeah, as you said, though, cutscenes. Every time you finish a level, which, again, there's 6, you get, like, a little 15-second cutscene, and they're kind of cool. You go ahead.
They're actually very neat looking. I like the animation. Not the animation, but, you know, like, the feel of the...
Oh, like the style, the art style.
Yeah, like the comic book noir-looking shots of, like, the guy who's, you know, doing the dialogue and stuff.
Sure, yeah. At the end of every segment, you go to your boss, and he says, well, hey, you've racked up enough money, there's somewhat narrative. Like, one guy says, hey, you've made enough noise that you're kind of, you know, the cops are looking for you, I'm going to send you to another city. You've got another cutscene to where, like, the guy says, hey, you know, you're really causing too much trouble in my town, you know, step out of line and I'll whack you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might want to throw a couple up in the episode just to give people kind of a hint of, you know, what they're up for.
We'll see.
Hey, Aruzo. I got a warning for you from Bald Man Sonetti. Cross him again, I'll stick a gun up your ass and blow your f***ing eyeballs out. Capiche?
Yeah. So I don't know. So you asked me this question. Were there any missions that stood out to you that you liked? Since you didn't really care too much for them one way or the other, were there any really good ones? Any really bad ones?
No. Nothing I thought that was just, like, super fun. Nothing that was, like, epic, like, say, in Grand Theft Auto 4 where there's the bank robbery or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There was nothing that was particularly awesome. I guess I preferred failing the missions. I don't know. They were fine. There was nothing wrong with it. It was a good time. I don't know. Nothing outstanding. Nothing really noteworthy to where I have to elaborate on it.
Well, I mean, again, for me, it was really kind of a mixed bag. The early structure of the game is kind of both fun and crude. It's fun in the sense that because you never know exactly what mission you're going to get, again, unless you've memorized it, you generally don't know what mission you're going to get. And then when you start a mission, you really don't know what direction it's going to take next. That sense of chaos is fun. I mean, again, you have no idea when you pick up a phone what 10 different things you're going to do. At the same time, it's also kind of slapdash and sloppy. I mean, why am I chasing some guy's wife after I've dropped off two taxis? I mean, again, those have nothing to do with each other. And when you're having a good time, that's cool. And when you just want to, get on with it, that's irritating. It's like, I just did this one thing. Now I've got to do this other stupid thing. I don't know.
Well, exactly. Especially when it makes you do, 6 things strung along, and they're all just driving somewhere. It's like...
Yeah, that one that I rambled about earlier. And again, I that was an intentional ramble because it was just so much just nonsense. Just do this, now drive over here so I can look at your car while I tell you to go do this other thing. That got old fast. I'm sorry, you go ahead. Yeah, I could take you about to say something.
No, I was going to say, you could tell that, while they were, planning out, it seemed like the people who, wrote out the missions were excited to do so. It seemed, they got very, what they probably, felt like was in depth. They didn't just make, one cheesy, quick little mission. They put some time and effort and thought into actually, writing it all out and trying to make it a big cohesive thing. It just didn't always, play out that way.
They had fun when they were doing it. You could tell that, as you said, yeah, definitely. That's one thing I would give it, is that they seemed to really enjoy coming up with new dialogue strings, new opportunities for you to create mayhem. Yeah.
Like the attention to detail, they've never, they've only gotten better at it, but it's not like it was lacking in this first, installment of the series.
Right. I mean, the games have obviously gotten more refined. The storytelling, especially, has gotten a lot more matured, and more advanced, more coherent and cohesive. But for a first attempt, they really, I mean, again, that's part of the whole idea. They created this real living world. I mean, they created a crime world.
Well, they really knocked it out of the fucking park. I mean,
they really kind of did.
For what they were trying to do, I mean, God, there was nothing like it. There's been nothing like it since, aside from their, I guess you could argue Saints Row's games are a little bit like it, but I don't agree that they're anywhere in comparison to the Grand Theft Auto, series.
The first game and a half, the first 2 games of Saints Row were, in my opinion, really good, but then they really got fucking fucked up. They got wacky, and they're going into space now, and I haven't even followed the last couple games.
Saints Row in space.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that's the one that's got, like, wrestlers in it.
What, did they get their cues from Tom and fucking Jerry? I mean, they just...
Honestly, yeah, the game is really cartoony now. I mean, it's just bizarre. Like I said, I haven't touched one since the second game, because my understanding is they're just really far out. They, like, went gonzo with their series, so I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I don't want to linger on the mission structure in this game, but it's funny that you played so differently than I did, because you did just kind of more or less fuck around, whereas I went through, like, I tried to complete as many missions as I could. I
did. I just didn't, like, always do that, I guess.
Well, say, for example, you start the game and you do a mission or 2. Like, what do you then do for, like, the next half hour? Did you just drive around?
Exactly. I like to know my surroundings, so I try to get to know the city, so I wasn't just always randomly, cutting down streets and shit like that. I like to know where I'm going and what I'm doing when I'm playing these games. So I tried, familiarize myself with the different cities, that kind of thing, or just plain, killing people and evading the cops. I enjoy that.
How did you find that? Oh, you know what? One quick thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. An important detail of when we first got this game is that when I was still desperately trying to hunt it down and couldn't find it anywhere, you were in a bigger city with friends who owned the game. And I remember you called me up one day and you said, "Hey, dude, I just played this awesome game. Really? What is it?" And you said Grand Theft Auto. And I said, "Oh, my God, I'm trying to find that game. That's out. You got a copy of it?" And you said, "Yeah, it's great. You can do donuts in the cop's blood." And that, more than anything else, it was like, I have to get this game. I don't even hate cops, but it was like, I have to get this game. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So that means...
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, go ahead.
Exactly. It was fun.
So what did you think of the cops in this game? How did you find them as far as their AI and their difficulty?
They were pretty... they're pretty fucking... What's the word I'm looking for? Relentless. They come after you. They just keep coming after you.
See, I actually found the cops easier to get away from in this game, even though...
But, I mean, they surround you pretty good, especially when you're doing the missions and shit. When you're just freestyling it and trying to escape them, I found it pretty easy. I don't know.
Yeah, and at first when you've got just like a 1 or 2, I guess they're not even stars. In this first game, they're cop heads. So when you've got like a 2 cop head warning level or wanted level, it's not, I guess, not too hard. But then they set up barricades in the middle of the road, and your cars take like 10 bullet hits before they explode in a big fireball, and that can be a problem.
Speaking of blowing up in fireballs, I love the rocket launcher. And when you shoot a car that's next to like 6 other cars, and they all just kind of ba 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 ba.
And the rocket launcher makes like an old like 70s like thunderclap sound effect. It's like pew!
It was fucking awesome. The weapons. What did you think about the weapons?
I could have sworn that there were more. There was the pistol, the machine gun, the flamethrower, and the rocket launcher.
That's it, yeah.
That is it. Okay, yeah, that's the only 4 I encountered. Yeah, for some reason I could have sworn that there was more, but that's because the series has obviously added so many.
Oh, yeah. I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 5, the weapons are infinite.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But
I liked them. I had fun with them. The machine gun I actually wound up using the most.
The fucking flamethrower is awesome.
It's awesome, and it's fun to run around and bake the poor little pedestrians that run around and... They really make like mercy squeals. I mean, I'm not even imitated. That was another thing that was really kind of cool about the game at the time. It was so juvenile, but did you realize in this game you can miss it so easily if you don't tap the button? You have like a fart/burp button in this game. Did you know?
No, I did not notice that.
If you run around with your little dude on the street, you can actually press that. For me, it was I think circle. I can't remember what it would have been for you. But yeah, if you tap the button, he just like randomly, just every time you tap it, he either farts or burps for no reason whatsoever. It does nothing.
I wonder if that was a PlayStation thing because there is minor differences, but.
Oh, that's true. We should talk about those, actually. We're moving so quick. I want to make sure we cover everything. But the difference is, talking about sound, the music. You didn't get the music.
Yeah, I mean, there was music and there was different soundtracks and stuff, but not like when I entered vehicles. I didn't get like unique vehicle music, which was a bummer.
Not ever? Not in any car?
No.
Oh, that sucks. That's half
Yeah, because that was one of the things where the first time I played that game, jumping into the pickup truck and hearing like the hillbilly music was fucking fantastic. And just, I mean, even that was, in this first game. Well, apparently not in the PC version, but
that's so lame. I don't know why that would be, because in my game, it's. I always remember this, as obviously you just did as well. I mean, yeah, on the PlayStation version, whenever you get into any car, it has just a station I mean, the bad thing is you can't turn it off. I mean, it's always just one station that's always in that car. And I find it interesting that I can tell you this. You didn't, because you didn't have the game with the music in it, you didn't know this, but apparently when you get in the car and you got the music playing and then you exit, the music, even though it's on a radio, will conveniently wait for you to get back in the car before it resumes. It'll actually stop at that point and then unpause when you get back in the car.
He paused his tape cassette deck.
There you go. Yeah, it's just a tape. That's all. It's 1998. People are still using tapes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we had the country music. The main. You at least got the main intro music, the Grand Theft Auto theme song. You started the. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What'd you think of that? That's actually one of my favorite tunes in the game.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
It sets the mood.
It does. It does. Really sets the tone for sure. There's one particular track I like. I'd have to throw it into this episode, which the people at home will probably hear it, but to describe it to you would be kind of pointless because I can't really describe it very well. It's like a 70s mod, like really kind of upbeat, sort of driving through the city, sort of chase music. But
sure.
You hadn't heard it, so I guess I'll just.
Well, I've heard. I mean, it's hard to recall because it's been years and years and years and years
right.
since I played it on the PlayStation. But I have. I have played it, and I was expecting to get into the cars and hear all these different songs again. I just was not afforded that opportunity playing the PC version.
I'm surprised that you didn't come to. I mean, we don't know each other's score yet. We'll get to that later on. But I mean, I'm surprised that you aren't sounding harder on the game because of the fact that it is obviously you remember that being an integral part of the experience. So it sucks that you didn't get it. And B, this is really kind of like the second game in a row that you've played that didn't really have any music.
Well, no. See, it's not like there wasn't music. there just wasn't unique music particular to the cars. There was music. There was background music. I wasn't left high and dry like fucking Secret of Monkey Island. I was there was sound effects and music's happening throughout. So I didn't have that, like, you know, the cold, somber emptiness of nothing. But
the isolating, reflective, non-music, the black hole of sound.
Exactly. Just playing a video game in a fucking vacuum.
Did you catch, a little bit off topic, but did you catch the Reservoir Dogs in the reference to Reservoir Dogs in this game? Did you happen to do the mission that had that?
No.
I can't remember exactly where it was or what mission. It was one of the early missions in the first level, but you randomly pick up, I shouldn't say random, I use that word too much, but you pick up a guy who just kind of throws out, he says something like, he does the Chuck Bronson thing. He says, hey, if somebody comes up front and acts Charles Bronson. Yeah, that was in there. Yeah.
I did not notice that. I did run over like the Hare Krishnas and got a little bonus for doing that.
Yeah, that's I can't remember when they took that out. I can't remember if there was anything similar to that with the third game. I don't think there was. where if you run across a whole series of in the first game, the first two, if I recall correctly, there was a thing in the second game. Yes, there was. In the first game, it's a bunch of Hare Krishnas. In the second game, it's a bunch of Elvis impersonators. And in these games, they walk in a row. There's like maybe 10 of them. And if you drive, that's how much controversy this game was all about. You're encouraged to drive over them, and if you drive over them all in one fell swoop without, missing one or whatever, you get like a special achievement. You get like whatever extra points or whatever. And
I ran them down in a fucking Jesus bus.
That's not only impressive because of how difficult that is, but that's fucking funny.
It was awesome. What's the fucking bonus called? That was
Garanga.
Yeah,
or
Garanga.
Yeah. However I don't want to pronounce it. Yeah, that's an actual Hare Krishna term. I don't remember what it means. I think it has something to do with. Oh my God, I couldn't even tell you. I don't want to say it wrong. It's some kind of actual Hare Krishna term. It means God. I don't know. Make something up, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. At the beginning of the game, another thing that you probably didn't hear on yours because the weird lack of audio or whatever. On my game, when you first, I shouldn't say on my game, on the PlayStation.
There's no lack of audio. There's just it's not the soundtrack of unique songs. For the vehicles didn't exist. I
want to make sure I understand it correctly, though. So are you saying that you did get, like, the normal music soundtrack?
Yeah.
They just weren't... So as you wandered around, you still got the actual songs playing throughout the game?
No, but there was music. There was background music. I don't know that I necessarily got, like, the list, the soundtrack of the same songs they play in the cars. But there was music. There was, like, background music and stuff.
What was it? Was it kind of, ambient, or was it actual, like lyrics, actual, structure of songs and so forth?
No, it was ambient. It wasn't like, hits or anything. It wasn't like actual songs like that.
Okay. I wonder if that wasn't even an option for me then, because I know that on the PlayStation version you can turn it off to where the music either plays when you're in the car or just plays constantly. Like on the PlayStation version, you can make the songs play, nonstop, whether you're in the vehicle or not. That's what I assumed you were talking about, but it sounds like that's not the case at all. You had something different.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Did you, the only other really major, and it's not even really that big, but the only other major departure I know of for the PS1 is that on the PC version, you guys had a, I don't even remember. It's either an L train or a subway. I think it's an elevated train. Did you happen to notice that? Like a little train station in your game where people get on and off of trains? In fact, did you have moving trains in your game?
Yeah.
You did? Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, on the PlayStation, that's not a thing.
Huh. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't remember one way or another, but.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that when I first played the PC version, which was several years ago. I remember spotting that and thinking, "Oh my God, that's cool!" Just like a random little, like again with the random. I got to stop that. There's a very non-random game, or I'm sorry, a train station that was actually put up in the game to where like I think if you stand around, you'll actually see people get on and off of it. Which again, that's not on the PlayStation.
Did you check out any of the cheats at all? Have you used any cheat codes? After I was done, doing missions and fucking around and doing that, I decided, you know what? There's always fucking fun cheats. I'm going to see what cheats there are for it, and I threw in some cheat codes. I had a good time.
Not this time. The most cheating I did this time was save spamming, because again, in this game, if you lose a mission and you're 10 minutes in, like, it really sucks to have to go back and, lose out. So while I did do that, I didn't add any cheats, but if I remember, if your PC version's anything like the PlayStation version, you actually add, like, names to your character. Is that how it works?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just delete the name and add a new name, and exactly.
And aren't the names crazy shit like Eat Shit and Below Me and stuff like that?
Yeah, some of them are. For the PlayStation 1, there's different cheat codes, and there's actually more of them available than there is for the PC.
Oh, okay. What did you use?
For the PC, the one I used was just Buckfast, which gave me all the weapons. So, I would go on little killing sprees with the weapons and fuck around and do that shit. And
oh, no wonder you enjoyed stuff like the flamethrower and all that. I couldn't really find too many of those.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really come till, a while into the game, and, So, yeah, I used the unlock all weapons, and I put on the no police for a while so then I could just go around killing people and not have anybody come after me, that kind of stuff. So I didn't really use any of these cheats to accomplish the missions I was doing. This was more of all right, I've put as much time into the game as I'm going to put into it, and I'll just fuck around and have a good time. And that's what I like about Grand Theft Auto, is fucking around and having a good time.
It's funny that for some reason I was so devoted to trying. I mean, it wasn't even because I thought, oh, okay, it's a podcast, I need to make sure that I do this and have all the information. I just felt, maybe it's the newer Grand Theft Autos that have made me feel this way, but I felt like I needed to accomplish what the game put out for me.
Yeah, you just 100%ed Grand Theft Auto 5 by doing 90% of it. I don't know how that works.
If that. You're right. Yeah, maybe that's kind of like, a little bit of residual, just the good, give it a goal, give it a good old 100% kind of attitude. I don't know. I forgot that, subconsciously, I kind of just forgot that, the point of this game is just sort of fucking around and having fun and killing people and causing mayhem.
Well, that's just it. And upon reviewing it, I wanted to do both. I wanted to play through a lot of the missions. I wanted to play through all of the missions. I didn't. Just ran out of time, and I didn't just feel obligated to. I had some things. My kid was sick, this and that, and I just had time I had to spend in other places. But without it being really a game where there's a huge definite ending, anyways, there's just I guess finishing every mission, I guess you beat it. But I mean, I watched all the cutscenes and shit. It's fine.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, finishing this game, it's ultimately, in a way, just kind of a grind. I mean, to excel at this game, you really do need to just ratchet up that score. And if your score is low and you've completed all the missions, you've exhausted them, you have to do what you just described to proceed. You have to just bump cars, kill people, rack up that score some other way.
Exactly.
And when you've done that, the only reward you get, you literally, aside from the sense of accomplishment, whatever that may be, you literally just get, like a 15-second cutscene, including at the end of the game. That's it.
However, you can reward yourself by changing your name to Buckfast and unlocking all the weapons and going on a murderous rampage. Fucking fun. It's so fucking fun to just hit 7 different fucking cars with a 1 rocket launcher shot and watch them all boom, they just explode off of each other. And it's even fun when you set your own guy on fire doing it. He just runs around on fire for a second before he dies. Oh, watching all the citizens run down the street with their skin on fire. It's just fucking fantastic. Running over people, running over cops, just running rampant. I had as much fun doing that this time as I did the first time I ever played the fucking game. I really did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time.
That really speaks for the fact that the fundamentals of the game are still as good as they ever were, which is that you're given, again, this playground just to create mayhem in.
Exactly. And that's what Grand Theft Auto is. It's what it always will be. It's what it's intended to be. Yeah, the newer missions, the newer games, I mean, well, I'm sure we'll do Grand Theft Auto 3 someday. I remember the first time I played Grand Theft Auto 3 and just being fucking just taken back at all of its glory. I mean, it was a fucking fantastic game.
Well, see, for a lot of people looking at Grand Theft Auto 3 for the first time, it was just, oh, look, it's an awesome 3D game where you can run around and do criminal stuff. For us, for you and I and the other people who played Grand Theft Auto 1 and or 2 first, we were like, oh my God, this awesome gameplay that we know and love, they've made it 3D. We had the opposite reaction.
Did you do any of the London missions?
Yes, I have.
Expansions?
Yeah, not for this particular playthrough, but I have the only one available on the PS1 is London 1969. There's there's another one, London 1961, which is only available for the PC.
Okay.
And in fact, one of the one of the things that I remember about the London 1969 expansion pack is when you first play the original PlayStation 1, just standard Grand Theft Auto, there's a character that he's just like a random narrator. Random, I gotta stop it. Random, it's my word of the day, Howard. Random, random, random. There's a voice at the beginning of the PlayStation 1 Grand Theft Auto that says Grand Theft Auto, and it's just like a little, like, just sort of like a little thing to, get you going, just start the game.
Right.
Hey, have fun. In the London game, they have a Cockney British guy that goes, Grand Theft Auto.
That's awesome.
That's always stood out to me. So yes, I have had that game for, I don't know, probably 20 years, 15 years, however long it's been.
Sure.
Yeah. Why did you bring it up? Have you ever played that?
I have not. I thought about downloading them and doing it, and I just, like I said, I ran out of time to even finish doing all these missions, so I certainly didn't have enough time to go start on those, but I probably will one day.
Yeah. If you're up in the mood for just random killing and controversy. In fact, it's worth pointing out that recently they actually released the name of a publicist that Rockstar used, a guy by the name of Max Clifford.
Okay.
He's actually somebody, a British publicist that they recruited specifically to plant the seeds of controversy. They actually had him going and making comments to news organizations to get them stirred up about this upcoming game.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant. It's free advertisement.
That's exactly what they said. No press is bad press. And it worked.
Hell yeah. Well, we immediately wanted the game.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, they appeal to the right people. This guy's apparently brilliant. He looks kind of like Max Cherry from Jackie Brown, and he's apparently really good at his job. He, as far as I know, just went to prison for supposedly molesting some young girls.
Oh, that's
so
terrible.
I don't know what that's all about, but as far as his job, he was pretty good at it. So
I guess not all news is good news.
Yeah, controversy indeed for Max Clifford there.
Controversy indeed. Well, there we have it, folks. That's Grand Theft Auto. Play it. If you've never played the original Grand Theft Auto, man, find the roots of the thing you love and go ahead and give it a whirl.
It really is. It's a rough version of what you know and love, but in some ways that roughness actually adds to the charm and fun.
Exactly, and there'll be a 10 to 15 minute learning curve to adjust to the awkward control schemes and whatnot. It's fine. It's nothing too difficult, and check it out. Good time.
Is there any kind of final summary of the game you'd like to give? Anything that what you like the most, dislike the most, anything like that?
Oh, dislike the most? Just the repetitiveness of the missions.
Sure.
Not so much the dialogue and everything. They keep that all pretty unique. It's just the stuff you're actually doing. There's only so much you can do, in fairness.
Right.
But basically what I love about the game is, fuck shit up, man. You just go around and fuck shit up. It doesn't get boring. It really don't. It's really quite fun.
See, for me, it was a little bit of the Kirby syndrome. It's funny that just 10 years ago, if you'd asked me about this game, I would have said, man, I love this game. It's it is. It always will be one of my favorite games of all time. However, I guess, I don't know, just tastes have changed a little bit. I've become a little bit more jaded. I've become a little bit more impatient about some of the stuff that this game doesn't do well. Stuff like the lack of a navigation system. That bugs me. You do get a little arrow that points you in the general direction. Yeah, but I mean, I don't expect the game to
just modern conveniences you've grown accustomed to, and then going back, it's not there. So
Right. I mean, this is a difficult game sometimes to navigate without a GPS. And again, granted, 98, I don't even know if GPSs were.
Well, that's another reason. Earlier you asked what I did besides the missions. Well, I got to know my cities and shit, because I didn't have a GPS showing me where to go everywhere.
And that's an important point to make, because when I first owned this game, again, somewhere in one of my boxes in the basement, I have the original paper map that came with this game, and I'd remembered playing through it, for this podcast. Oh my God, that thing was indispensable.
Yeah.
I mean, I was constantly. You have to go to bomb shops in this game. They don't put an arrow on the map for that. You have to drive around until you find a little thing that says bomb shop. If you don't have a map, you're fucked.
You do have to notice the garage door where the arrow's just kind of pointing that direction, and that is kind of irritating.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they could, and I understand, but I mean, trying to navigate this game without some kind of better means of technology as opposed to just a little yellow arrow that points you in the general direction of where you need to go, that's tricky. And if there's any one thing that really bugged me about this game, it's again, just the constant bashing into other cars. When you're trying to make progress, and it seems like every lane you take when you start to get up some speed, it's like, oh shit, I rear-ended some car. Oh shit, I ran into a building and got stuck. I mean, that kind of stuff gets irritating. Yeah. But as a whole, though I don't
minor complaints.
Yeah, they're minor complaints. They do drag down my total score. I don't love the game as much as I used to, but I still solidly recommend the game. I think for a first attempt at what the series became, it is a strong game. It always was. I remember when EGM magazine reviewed the first expansion pack, the London one that you just mentioned. I remember specifically one of their reviewers said, expansion packs are awesome, but why do we need one for this game? And it's like, dude, fuck you. Just because the graphics aren't, super perfect, just because it's not like 3D first person, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. So many people shit on this game because of the graphics, and I think a lot of people missed out.
Exactly. Well, what would you rate this game out of 10?
I would have to say a solid, but not as good as it used to be, an 8.
Wow, a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
If I'm basing this on the game and the time it came out and how good it is, but I should really just base.
Can't. Yeah. See, my score back when I was a teenager would have been a solid 10 because I just love the fuck out of this game. But again, now I just have to kind of rate. I don't just rate the experience I just had. I rate it based on the other experiences I could reasonably have with other games on the system. So I mean, it stands up pretty tall.
I have to give it a good. I'd probably go a little bit lower than an 8. I'd probably have to go a 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting because it sounds like you enjoyed it more over the podcast. It surprised me.
Sure, but I mean, like I said, I did a whole lot of fucking around. I was putting in, at the end there. I did what I love to do with the game, and that's fucking fuck shit up with cheat codes and shit. It's fun. You just fucking unlock the weapons, run amok. So that exists. That is available in the game. So I have to, I can't just act like those cheat codes don't exist and it's not part of it. It is part of it if that's the way you'd like to play it. So if I'm going to play this game the way I like to play it, it's incredibly fun. Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's why I'm surprised that it wasn't a higher score for you.
Well, again, if I'm that kid back in the day, sure, I'm probably giving it a 10 out of 10 as well. If I'm, I live in this day and age where Grand Theft Auto 3, 4, and 5 and San Andreas and Vice City all exist. So
sure.
I really got to comparatively, it's not up to snuff with those other games.
So as much as you had fun with it, you recognize that it's not the full experience that the later games obviously are.
Yeah, it's some strong fucking roots to those games.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As a foundation, this game is solid as fuck.
Absolutely. So, great game, guys. I recommend it. Go out and play it if you haven't played it. And that brings us to the Game Selector 8.
I was going to throw out the Game Selector 94 or something. You went way lower. Game Selector 8. Man, when we bought this thing, it's really hard for us to read the serial code on the side of it. We just have to do our best. And every week it just looks different. What can we say?
Fuck it.
Whenever anybody's going to ask us about what's the deal with the Game Selector thing, fuck it. Just fuck it, man.
Fuck it.
Whatever.
You know what? It doesn't have a name, man. It doesn't have a name. It just has a function. And speaking of said function, why don't you pull that fucking lever, Mike?
Let me give this thing a pull. Out of left field.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah? You excited for this one too, huh?
Oh, fuck yeah.
All right. We have Street Fighter 2 Turbo for the Super Nintendo.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo for the Super fucking Nintendo.
It is not much of a surprise to say that this is a great game, and we're doing it.
Oh my god, it's honestly, it's one of the best fighting games ever.
Easily.
It's the first fighting game I ever really got into. Well, not Turbo, the original Street Fighter.
Sure. It's the Turbo, the souped up version of the first fighting game I think you and I ever played.
Street Fighter 2, yeah. So,
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to play some Street Fighter.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you guys are excited to hear about some Street Fighter, maybe play some Street Fighter. I recommend you guys play some Street Fighter 2 Turbo and check out our forum at thecontracode.proboards.com. And you can join our forum there. You can play along with us. You can discuss your progress in the game along with our progress in the game. Check out a lot of really cool message boards, modern gaming, vintage toys, vintage movies, all kinds of stuff's happening there. It's a really fun place to hang out, and I recommend you signing up.
We're there all the time. It should be noted that we are constantly making fun posts on there. We're talking about toys that we grew up with, pop culture nostalgia. We're talking about movies. We're having a good old time there.
Absolutely. So, bring in your pop culture. Post some pictures of where you grew up and the things you used to do in the malls you used to shop at and the arcades you used to hang out in. Come join us. It's a walk down memory lane and it's a good time. And it's a fun community that you can come and hang out at. And if you're enjoying the podcast, it's definitely a companion piece to the podcast that gets you more involved. You can also contact us at the Contra Code Podcast at gmail.com. Or you can actually like our very active Facebook page, The Contra Code, on Facebook. And is that it? Do we have any other outlets?
I want to point out the Facebook thing. You actually, I'm not a Facebook user myself. You obviously handle that aspect of it. But I've checked in there a couple times. And you actually have some fun stuff on there. This isn't me just like promoting for the sake of promoting. I mean, I really am not a social networking person at all. So it surprised me when I went to our Facebook page that you set up, and you've got some fun shit on there. You've got like games and pictures and shit. I was amused. I thought it would just be a stupid like, hey, Facebook, it's whatever, it's cool because it's Facebook. No, you've got like stuff on there that's actually
sure.
cool.
Well, we try to keep the conversation rolling. It's what we're about and it's what we do. And we don't just sit idly by. We are proactive and reactive. So that's what we like to do on the Facebook. So most people are on Facebook. So if you happen to be on Facebook, you're enjoying the podcast, you're enjoying what we do. Like I said, join our forum. That's where you can be the most interactive with us. Otherwise, like our Facebook page, help get the word out there. Go to iTunes. You can subscribe on iTunes. You could leave us an awesome rating of 5 stars with a very wonderful message. That'll help our algorithms work in our favor. That'd be wonderful to help get promote the show.
You can find us on YouTube as well. I'm sorry. Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.com, the Contra Code podcast channel. And Podomatic, you can actually subscribe to us on there as well. So
okay, and I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have all of those outlets for you to enjoy as much of the Contra Code as you can possibly handle. So until next week, I bid you a fond farewell and good night, good evening,
Take it
good
easy,
morning,
guys.
Whatever time of day it happens to be that you are listening to this godforsaken podcast. I hope you're having a fantastic one.